Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Holeshot Hustle, the podcast that dives into the real stories of youth racers and their families, their struggles, triumphs, and dreams. Whether it's track updates, racing tips, or industry news, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Logan Maurer. I am a 12-year-old motocross racer from Cedar City, Utah, and joining me is my co-host, Joe Maurer, who is also my dad.
And dang proud of it.
Together, we'll explore the world of youth motocross and the stories that make it so special. Today, we're super happy to have Ken and Jeremy Gatdula in the studio. Jeremy, an 11-year-old motocross racer from Cedar City, Utah, and his dad, Ken, are here to share their journey. Ken is also the founder of, let's see if I can get this right, Ghost Riders Southern Utah / Youth MX Riders Facebook group, which connects young riders to share their passion, make friends, and learn together. In this episode, we'll talk dirt bikes and big dreams with Ken and Jeremy. But first, since this is our very first episode, I'd like to share a little bit about my own journey. I first started racing in 2019, mainly in the Utah RMX series. In 2022, I earned a spot in the Amateur National Motocross Championship at Loretta Lynn's Ranch in Tennessee, and after taking a brief break in 2023, I'm back at it, currently racing the Utah RMX Winter Series at Mesquite MX. Motocross has been an incredible adventure for me and my family. Like most youth riders and their families, we've faced challenges that require grit and determination both on and off the track. That's what inspired me to start this podcast, is to shine a light on the personal stories of youth racers and their parents. A huge thank you to my dad for all of his support and helping me chase my dreams. We've worked super hard on this podcast, and I'm super excited to share it with you. So let's get started.
All right, we want to thank everybody for joining us on our inaugural first episode of the Holeshot Hustle. We're very pleased to have Ken and Jeremy in the studio. We first got to know Ken when we saw your Facebook page, and we noticed that, it looked like it had something to do with Southern Utah youth riders. And the entire time that Logan had been racing, the 4 years he was actively racing, like we didn't know anybody here in Southern Utah, and so it really kind of piqued my interest, and so I joined his group, and lo and behold, there's a whole community of youth MX riders here in Southern Utah I didn't even know existed. Tell us about your group, Ken.
So we started with 4 original members only: Jeremy, Taryn, Lane, and Knox. It started because I got tired of Jeremy playing video games all day, and I was like, you know what? I need to get him a dirt bike and get him out there riding. So I created a page to look for other riders out in Southern Utah.
Ken, you are originally from the Philippines, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I was born in Manila, Philippines, and came to the U.S. in 1994. And grew up in Northern California, moved to Cedar City.
Tell us a little bit about your time in the Philippines. I suspect that kind of informs your decision to do what you do with the Ghost Riders group, the trash cleanup and things like that. You had kind of expressed in a previous conversation that you came from what you described as a third world country. Yeah. And you seem to have a real passion for taking care of the land and the property around here to make sure it's good for people. So tell us a little bit about the Philippines and Manila and stuff like that.
Yeah, the area where I came from was a really rough area. I came from a slums, and there was trash just everywhere. And when I moved to America, I just, I get really annoyed when I see people leave their trash, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm like OCD now, and I just want to keep the area clean. Like, I don't want to live in another place that's a third world country, and that's why one of my main goal is, to go out there, work with BLM, clean up the trails, because if we just let it happen, it will just continue to get destroyed.
Just on that note, what brought you to America, if I may ask?
My dad petitioned me and my brother and my mom and he wanted us to have a better life out here in America, which we did, because out there life's really hard. No, in America we get spoiled by receiving welfares. In the Philippines, no matter how hard you work, it's kind of hard, surviving out there.
Ken, like, how was it, like, raising Jeremy here in the U.S. versus, like, the opportunity he has here growing up?
You mean the versus the opportunity he would have had in the Philippines?
I think the lifestyle that he has here in America right now would be a lot different. He wouldn't be going out, even just going out to dinner, or I don't think we could even afford for him to ride or buy him a dirt bike, because the pay out there is just so low. It's just not enough for us to even buy enough food or pay for mortgage.
You strike me as a patriot for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what America means to you.
America means, freedom and showing love and respect for the country, especially for the flag, the national anthem. And it's sad to see of all this changes happening now to America. When I became a U.S. citizen, I took an oath, and yes, I'm originally from the Philippines. I love where I'm from, but when I took that oath, I became an American, a proud American, and it's just sad to see that even at school, they don't even do. I think they don't even do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore, and this generation just has no respect for the flag and the country, or even for our veterans as well. And the amount of sacrifices they made for us, being away from their family, sacrificing their life, it's a lot. It means a lot to me. What brought us to America is was the first one that came here was my grandma's sister, who was married to a U.S. Navy, and so the military became a big part of my family, and especially when America was one of the countries that helped the Philippines when we got invaded from Japan.
Right. Well, that's a cool perspective that you have, that most of us, living here in America, we've never seen the other side, so that's a cool perspective. And I suspected that that's kind of what, you really seem to really feel it at your core, what you're doing with the Ghost Riders and things like that. So, what inspired you to create the local chapter? Well, let me start before that. Was Jeremy riding when you joined the Ghost Riders, or did you join the Ghost Riders afterward?
No, I actually met them at the Battle of the Borders after Jeremy's race, and I saw they had a canopy up, and I saw their little booth, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. And Mike Locke, who was the guy that started that Ghost Riders Southern Utah here, he was there, and I spoke with them, and I asked them what is their mission, and they started talking about, we're here to protect the trails, save trails, create new ones. And I was like, I like this, guys. I like what they do, because if we don't have anybody like that, all of our trails will be closed down. I mean, especially the amount of trash that we pick up in there. I mean, just imagine what would happen in 10 years, 20 years. Look at San Rafael's well. People complaining about getting it closed down. I mean, I think we could always work with the BLM and figure something out to keep it open and protect it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you joined the Ghost Riders, and then what inspired you to create your own local chapter? How did that come about?
I spoke with some of the guys at the club, and their goal was totally different from mine because I think mine was because of my background, coming from poverty and seeing kids not able to afford to go ride. I've always wanted to own a dirt bike. I've always wanted to race, but it was so tough for me. So I started I created a page not only to find other riders out there in southern Utah. It's because I wanted to also help kids out, go out, ride dirt bikes, experience to go out race, and so far we've been doing really good.
Why is keeping the riding areas clean and free of pollution such a personal mission for you?
Because if we don't protect the areas where we ride at, the trails, they will all be gone. They'll all be taken away from us. All it takes is a pen and a paper for them. They just have to sign it and take it away from us. And I like motocross tracks, but there's something about riding the trails, especially with your son, your wife, any family member, or even just friends.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing for me is protecting it. And it would be sad if one of these days that it just gets to that point that it's really bad and there's just no way for us to ride anymore because of the amount of trash and government just takes it away from us.
Could you share a story about a memorable cleanup you've had or you've organized in the past?
We've only done 2 as of now. I think it'll be the first one on August 3 that we did last year. And I was really amazed at the amount of trash that we picked up. I mean, the bed of my truck was just so full and there was all sorts of trash out there. But the best thing about that is that I had families come out there, even little kids that were 7 years old to 11, helping out picking up trash. And after that, we had a potluck. They went out riding, and we made some sacrifice, but at the end, we all had fun. And I think that was the most memorable one for me.
Yeah. I remember seeing couches.
Yeah.
Burned out pallets.
Mm-hmm.
Pallets. I hate the pallets out there, Nothing like getting a nail in your tire when you're trying to go out and ride.
It would suck if you start riding and you feel like you hit a pot of glass or hit a tire and then you have to blow and it blows your whole day.
Yeah.
You've organized quite a few projects. I do have here one that you organized out at Paraworks. You want to tell us about this one as we're playing through some of these pictures? The Paraworks Tree Project?
Yeah. Daryl Owen, who is the owner of Paraworks Off-Road Park, he mentioned that he wanted to plant some trees. So I talked to the club about it in our meeting, and we ended up planting it. And I've always wanted to plant trees over there too because there is no shade out there. So I was like, well, the owner wants to do it. We'll go over there and help him out. And when we did it, it was very successful. We had a couple families come out there, kids. Same thing like what we did at Three Peaks when we picked up trash. We had Daryl, his wife, his son, Bryce, and a couple people that helped out that was part of the Ghost Riders and not even part of the Ghost Riders that just wanted to do something good for the dirt bike community.
Can you tell us for the people that don't know that are listening, Paraworks is not very well known outside of this area. Can you tell our listeners what Paraworks is?
So Paraworks Off-Road Park is a private owned track by the Owen family, but Daryl is nice enough to actually allow the public to go out there and ride, especially the kids. He does this mainly for the kids.
That's Daryl in this picture, is it not?
Yeah. That's him with the kids. And, he just goes out there and welcomes us like we're part of his family, and I think we're actually pretty spoiled on what he does. I mean, we have a restroom in there that has water, and if you go there and want to go out there ride, just make sure you sign the waiver. You don't leave any trash out there because the owner doesn't charge us or anything like that, and he just wants us to go out there and have fun for free.
And your group, you also, in addition to these cleanup projects and community service projects like that, you also collect used gear and try and get it from the people that don't need it anymore and get it to the riders that do. Correct?
Yes, that's right. So we take donations from other riders that if they outgrew their boots, pants, jersey, whatever, and I find other kids who needs them, because I remember when Jeremy started riding, I spent like $500 just on gears, and in like 2 or 3 months, he couldn't even wear his boots anymore. I'm like, you know what? I actually got that idea from a different club as well. So I was like, I think that's actually a pretty good idea, rather than throwing it away. If a motocross boots are still good, I was like, why not donate it? Why not another kid let it use it for a couple of months, and then if it's still usable, pass it on to another one.
I know exactly where you're coming from on that.
My pants, like when I'm riding hard, they always rip, and so my dad's like always buying pants and gear because I'm just pushing it to the limit, and somehow there gets a hole in my butt.
Seems like we're buying a pair of pants a month right now.
Yeah. Jeremy, you only started racing at like 2023. How was it? How big of a difference of a change was it from racing on your 50 to the 65, like riding it?
So when I was like riding my 50, it was so like my dad like can't really afford that much of like a bike, but like like it's like kind of, well, I mean, it's fun, but like like since I'm so big on it, I'm like it's kind of it's like makes me like bored and everything, but like compared to the 65, for me, I think it's like perfect fit for me, like and it has that power in there, and but like even though the 50 is like small enough, I could still like ride it enough, like ride it better than the 65, because like I can't really like use the clutch that often. So when I'm on my 65, I just usually like stay in first gear on the track and just like ride it until it just runs out of gas.
There's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, huh?
Yeah.
So you like the more how it's more powerful than the 50?
Uh-huh.
And like when you go through ruts, it's not as low, so you don't get as stuck as easy?
Yeah.
And now you're on an 85, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Full time?
Yep.
You're off to 65, yeah?
Yep.
Nice. How do you feel about that?
Oh, the 85 feels so good now. Like especially when I'm like, when I get taller now, I'm like, it'll be perfect for me, because like I could like pick up, like I could easily like pick up my bike off the ground and not just like wait for a flagger to come and help me pick it up.
Right.
And like kickstart it for me and stuff like that. I could kickstart it by myself now.
Jeremy, how did you like build all your confidence getting a more powerful bike? And did that scare you a little, or did that not scare you at all?
So how I build my confidence is just listen what my dad just says and stuff like that during like when I'm about to start during races. And so at my first race at the Battle of the Borders, I really wanted to win so bad because, like, you know, it's my first race and I've never raced in my life. But like, it like so when I finished, I was pretty happy because I thought I was like in like what like because I was happy because like I thought I was in like at least like top 5 because like how good I was doing. But when when my mom told me I placed 13th, I was kind of upset. But later on, when we went to Lindell in Utah, um, I saw right outside. I was kind of like dead last, and then after I finished, I didn't. I didn't. Well, I actually got second, which I actually didn't know that, and you know, I just and like I was so, and then like after I like so I was in the truck bed. I was in the truck bed of my dad's truck, and I was just changing until my mom told me I took second, and I was like so happy. So I quickly started changing, and I got my trophy.
Your best race, your most memorable race was the cow dung run, right?
Yeah.
You took second place. That's awesome. How did that feel getting your first trophy?
Well, that felt amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that feel for you, Dad?
I was a very proud dad, actually, and like he said, he didn't even know that he was gonna get a trophy because we were so worried. You know, I think he was gone for about 2 hours, and I was like, man, what's going on? I was like, and I started seeing other kids, and after that, after the race, I went back to the booth and I was like, hey, I want to know my son's result. And the lady at the in there at the trailer handed me a trophy. I was really shocked. So I didn't even tell him about it. I hid it in my back and surprised him.
Were you surprised?
Yeah.
You had no idea, huh?
Yeah.
That's a nice surprise to walk away with a trophy.
Yeah. Jeremy, your dad mentioned you were fired up at Caliente, Nevada, and Caliente, Nevada. What went through your mind when you were like ready to dominate that race?
Like in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I want to win this race because you know, like, because this is like that's like my first time racing over there, and you know, so
Set the scene for us on that one, Dad. What was the deal with Kelly?
So that that race, I think he was the very last one on that race, the class that he was on, and I remember there were some kids playing around, and he was getting annoyed by them, and when the race started, which the class that he wasn't on, I think there were 65 amateur and pro, and when it started riding, and he tells me, Dad, I wish I was on that class. I was like, I could smoke those kids. Yeah, like even the pros, I'll smoke them. Like I don't even see them standing up. And he was just so fired up. He goes, watch, Dad, I'm going to win this race. And he did when he got on there. I think he lapped the kid like 3 or 4 times.
First place? Well,
Yeah.
second place?
He took second place.
You guys actually you guys have actually done at least one big national. Is it just one? You went to the Spring-a-Ding, right?
Yeah, at Oak Hill Raceway.
And tell us about that one. Tell us about the Spring-a-Ding. Walk us through that race.
So the Spring-a-Ding, I didn't even know anything about that race at all. And we actually got an invite from Dunlop Tires. You know, I emailed them. I asked them, I was like, hey, what about the sponsorship? You know, I applied for it for 3 months ago, and I never got a response back from you guys. And so we got a letter from them that a contract agreement with Dunlop Tires, And then after that, I think a couple days later, they sent us an invitation to Oak Hill Raceway, Spring a Ding. And I told them, like, you know what, we'll do this. And we had no knowledge about the race at all and who was going to be there. I took a 1 week off from my work, and me and Jeremy just drove all the way to Texas. I think it was like total 17 hours. it was a long drive, but it was well worth it. I mean, it was like motocross heaven. You know, we got to see Andrew Short out there, Chad Reed, his kids racing. I think it was really cool. And when Jeremy lined up at the gates, we didn't even know who Chase Brennan was. What's his name? Jaden Smart. And he was lined up with those kids. So I only knew that they were pretty big until I saw them race at Supercross.
We've got some photos we'll play here while you guys are talking about this. But so how did it feel to be riding with some of the fastest youth racers in the nation at this thing? Because you guys, how long had you been racing when you went to this Spring a Ding?
We've only that race lasted for like 1 week.
No, I think you've only raced, I think about 6 months or something, or I think less than a year. I believe he's only been racing for less than a year.
That is a big race to head to as a relative beginner. So you actually met some pretty big names there, right? Who did you see? Like youth racers?
Chase Brennan and Jaden Smart. And he was actually right next to Chase Brennan when they raced. So, and that's him with Andrew Short right there. And that's him getting lined up to get ready for the gate.
Yeah, the one on the left is the one with the Alpine Star boots. That's Chase Brennan right next to me.
He's a fast kid. You raced him a couple of times, huh? Yeah.
I think that's when I got my gash in my leg when I was battling him.
I think it was Chase Brennan that you guys crashed together. There was like some pretty nasty weather out there, I understand, during that race, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we were there. I mean, it started. So what's crazy is the weather was nice and beautiful. And right when Jeremy was about to get on the gate, it just started pouring. And I mean hard, too. And I was like, oh, man, this is going to be bad. Especially for Jeremy racing less than a year. And those kids were had so much more experience than him. But I told him, go out there, have fun, man. And we even had like lightning strikes. I remember when we were walking back to the booth to return the transponder, and all you hear is pow, 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 pow. I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, I'm from the Philippines. I know we have lightning strikes in there all the time, and I've never really heard or what it sounds like when somebody gets hit. And when we were there, like under the roof, a guy comes running over there. Well, he was riding a dirt bike, and he says, "Oh, somebody got hit at the track." And I was like, "Oh, shoot!" And yeah, we had no idea that somebody got hit. I mean, it sounded like gunshots, pretty much.
I remember hearing about that. We had some friends. We didn't know you guys at the time, but we had some friends down there, and they were talking about that. The kid lived. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did, and I followed him for a little bit, and I believe on Instagram. He started getting recover, but he did get hit pretty hard. So hopefully, he's a lot better now, and hopefully, when next time we go back over there to Texas, and we'd see him, racing.
Wow, that's a wild story, a wild thing to witness. It's not every day you hear about a motocross racer getting hit by lightning.
No, not at all. I mean,
thank God.
I think even the flaggers that were by him also got hit.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's what that guy was telling us. Like, some of them were like, just freaking flew.
Wow. So did you end up racing in the mud, in the rain?
No.
No? Did they call it before you had to race in that, or did the rain finally stop?
No. No, the rain was still there. It was just like kind of like just sprinkling and
Sprinkle.
Like
Yeah.
tacky dirt.
yeah. And we didn't even come back to the track next day. We were just like staying back at our hotel.
Yeah, we heard our friends we were talking about. I don't think they came back the next day. I think there's a bunch of people that didn't go back the next
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
No.
Did they not go back just because of the lightning strike incident, or?
We didn't go back because his race was already over. He only did one class.
Gotcha.
And so, I mean, most of those guys, they were doing like 3 or 4 classes.
Yeah.
And some of them came back the next day. We didn't.
Jeremy, how did you both prepare for such a big event?
We were just like just grabbing everything what we needed and just grabbing our extra gas tanks for my dad's truck. And
I think he means
Yeah.
like physically, emotionally. That's a big race. Like,
Were
Did
you
you-
like nervous at the gate? Were you like
did you guys even understand what you were going to?
No, not really. We were like, you know what? Let's just try this out. You know, we didn't like even bother prepping the bike or physically, like mentally. Like we need to eat right. We need to exercise. I was like, no, let's just go. I was like, I followed 1 week vacation. I was like, told my boss, I was like, hey, I'm going to Texas. I got an invite, and this is something once in a lifetime, you know, that I can't say no to.
Right.
I was like, and he was very, very worried about it. I was all, well, Dad, you know, they're gonna make fun of me. You know, I was like, who cares? Yeah, let them make fun of you. You know, those kids had been riding dirt bikes since they were 3, 5 years old. You just started riding a couple months ago, and just go out there, chase them, learn from them. Don't give up. Just go out there and have fun.
In one of our previous conversations, you had mentioned that you really put an emphasis on trying not to pressure Jeremy. How do you walk that line between not pressuring him, but yet you having him in a very competitive sport? How do you balance that?
I think I've learned my lesson when he just started. I'd pressure him so much, and he would cry, like even just on practice and on races. You know, I was like, I'd yell at him, and when I saw it from other dads doing it, I was like, you know what? I don't need to do that. My son doesn't need that. So I know motocross, off-road racing is a very competitive sport. I told him right now, all I want you to do is just go out there and have fun and enjoy, you know, riding. Because once you turn 18 and you learn all those proper techniques, those, and even when I told him just go out there and have fun, he he will win some, and to me, him winning and losing is, to me, I don't really have any problem with that. All I see is him learning, you know, because you may lose today, but the next race you're gonna smoke everybody.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what did you learn from participating in such a big event? Like, did you learn anything from any better rider in front of you? And did that help you at all in the race?
yeah, they did, because like I mean, you know, that time I was only been riding for like a couple months, and like right when we start, like I popped the wheelie and then I like crashed, and now I'm dead last. So, and then now I gotta do a lot of work. Like I gotta do a lot of catch up to do. So, but I still see some pro riders. So I look at them and they're like really, really fast. So I just like say, I'm just gonna use some of their techniques, and you know,
Who's your favorite pro?
like in Supercross or
Doesn't have to be supercross, motocross, desert. Like,
Yeah.
who's your favorite pro?
you know, just Hayden Deegan.
Hayden, yeah. What did you guys watch? Did you guys watch Supercross last night?
Oh yeah, yeah.
A1.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think there was a lot of gnarly crash, especially Malcolm Stewart's crash.
Oh yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah.
As Sexton runs over Tomac, and
Yeah.
none of the guys we thought were going to kill it.
Yeah. Jet dragging the, what is that?
Tough block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. It was a wild one.
And then
Definitely.
Hayden Deegan went down first corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did not go like I thought it was going to go. It was kind of wild. Jeremy, what do you, when you get to the gate, do you get nervous at all when that gate's about to drop?
I mean, yeah, sometimes, but most of the times not really though. But like,
What do you do to prepare for it and keep your nerves calm when you're at the gate?
I just just take some deep breaths and to help me calm me down and stuff.
Right on. Ken, what life lessons do you hope Jeremy gets through racing?
You know, like the mistakes that he made during racing. And like, I want him to be more prepped, and like, I want him to eat properly, exercise, and sleep well, and just be out there and be ready 100%. And not every day in life, will be perfect. There will be some crash, and you just have to get back up on your feet and learn from it and just continue riding.
That's good advice. Dust yourself off.
Yeah,
move on.
exactly.
You can't just lay down and die, right? You just got to pick that bike up and keep trucking.
Oh, yeah.
Ken, what advice would you like give other parents for like starting out, like helping their kid race? What advice would you give the parent to help their kid?
Well, especially if you're here in Southern Utah, join our Facebook page. We have a bunch of kids that go out there and ride together, and that would be my first advice. And if you are going to buy them a dirt bike, don't buy them something that that will scare them. Like, even when I bought Jeremy a KDX 50, people were telling me, like, why don't you just buy him a KX 65? Like, I don't want to buy him something that he'll be scared of. I want him to have a bike that he will have fun of, and he's able to control. And then I want him to make that decision that, oh, I'm ready to move up for a bigger bike. Because I like I said, I've just seen so many kids just stop riding. So if you really want to get your kids into racing, just give them some chance. Let them have fun. Don't pressure them too much. They're kids. Let them be kids. Let them have fun with it. And if you need help, hey, that's what Southern Utah Youth MX Riders is all about. Is helping other parents.
I think that advice about the bikes is good. Like he gave him his big sister's old PW, but he just wasn't feeling it. He didn't ride very good on it. And so we ended up getting him one of those little KTM SXE2s that's very similar to the PW.
He started hauling, but he started going fast.
Sometimes you got to fit him with the right bike. And I know with like Logan, when he was racing, I would always kind of let him determine when we were done with a bike. It's like he got off the 50s 2 years early, and same with the 60 early, because he just kind of wanted to move to the next bike, and I didn't feel like pressuring him to keep racing a class that he was just kind of bored with was probably a good recipe, and so let your kid kind of feel the flow, and definitely don't get him. I know that works for parents too. Don't buy a 450 if you haven't rode much. Don't buy a 450 right away. Don't make that mistake. Don't be that guy like me.
I'm just like, even me, when my first dirt bike, I bought a YZ250F, and it was a 2006, and I could barely even touch the ground. I was like, I had to tiptoe, and I love trail riding. But the thing is, there's some, areas at the, some trails where you kind of have to balance, and if you can't reach the ground and your balance is bad, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what are your goals for next year in motocross?
My goal is to at least, probably don't crash or so, and maybe not break a bone or nothing like that.
Worthwhile goals for sure. What else? Do you have any big races that you want to do? Do you have any podiums you want to accomplish, or where do you want to go from here?
For me, my goal to accomplish is probably get a ticket to Loretta's.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice. What youth rider doesn't want to do that, right? That's the dream of everybody. That's cool. What did you think about Loretta's?
I love Loretta's. So Loretta's was awesome. I like after you do a moto, or if you're there how we were there for a while, there's a river you get to play in, and it's awesome. But my advice, just watch out for water snakes.
I think the lazy river was your favorite part of the whole thing, right? Yeah. What advice would you give Jeremy to prepare for that?
Just stay calm at the gate. Go out there, have fun, and just do your best. Don't matter what placement you get. Just try and stay calm, because when you stay calm, you do your best. But when you start getting frustrated, you kind of panic, right? And that's when you'll have a higher chance of crashing. So just stay calm and just go out there and have fun.
Something we didn't know before we went too is there are some replica tracks. So see if you can find a replica track on your way there. We found out later that some guys go a month, at least a week or two in advance, and then they spend some time at some kind of replica track, because you don't get hardly any practice there, and we didn't know that. We were kind of expecting to be like RMX, like our local series would have a day of good solid practice. No, you get one practice.
They gave me 2-3 laps. That's it.
That's it. Go race. Well, that's probably about all the time we have for this week's episode. But before we go, do you guys have any parting thoughts or anything like that you want to share?
I got a question for Logan.
Yeah.
Since you've been to Loretta's, isn't there 3 motos in Loretta's, or no?
Yes, there's actually 3. It's a 3-moto floor mat. So I raced once.
Did you just say a 3-moto floor mat?
Not a 3-moto floor mat, but there's 2 motos that I know I did.
Format.
I know. There's 2 motos that I know I did, because I only qualified for 1 class, so I think I only raced twice. But
No, it was a 3-moto format. You had to race three motos for that class. So each class you qualify in is going to be three motos.
felt like 2. Went fast.
But we had a day in between where we didn't even race, but so that's probably why I felt like that. But it is kind of spread out. There's so much going on there. But
yeah, it's like what happened to us in Texas. The weather was just so bad. He was supposed to start racing on Tuesday, and it just poured and poured and poured, and it didn't stop. So then we got pushed back to Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Ken, also before we go, why don't you tell everybody, where to find the Ghost Riders?
Yeah, so if you go on Facebook and look for Ghost Riders Southern Utah /Youth MX Riders, just make sure to, when you try to join our page, make sure to answer all the questions. And that page is the one I created for kids. So we also have another page for the adults, or for everybody, Southern Utah Single Track /Ghost Riders MC.
We gotta get you guys. Right? We gotta get you guys to shorten these names.
Yeah, yeah, they're just so long, man. It's like I'm getting confused sometimes on both of them.
Right. One other thing before we go too. Did you have a note here?
Yeah.
We ran into one of our friends at Mesquite MX today, and he's hoping that maybe somebody out there has a KTM OEM 105 big bore kit that maybe is sitting on a shelf somewhere you're not using. He'd like to see if he could save a little money on one of those kits. So if you do, please reach out to us at the Holeshot Hustle and let us know. Let's see if we can get him a good deal on a big bore kit. We'd sure appreciate it. Ken and Jeremy, We sure appreciate having you guys on.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us on the inaugural episode of the Holeshot Hustle.
it's been fun.
Well, thank you for having us here. Especially us talking about the club and Jeremy racing. It was a pleasure.
It's a great thing you're doing. I can personally attest what Ken is doing with his group is really cool, and we need more people doing that kind of stuff. So go give him a follow, and we'll catch you next time on the Holeshot Hustle.
See ya.